All right, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to look at what happens when you have a unit rate with a problem that involves two fractions. I know I've said this before, but I'll keep saying it again. Fractions are just another kind of number. They're just in between numbers. So the same kind of things we do with whole numbers are the same things that we can do with fractions. So in this case, we want to compare the hiking speed of these two people, Julio and Kyle. They're going along the same trail, but when you look at the numbers, nothing about them is the same. Kyle is going to hike the first 6 miles in 2 hours. Whereas if you look at the little phone, it says that Julio hikes the first half mile of the trail in a quarter hour. So it would be easy to compare if we knew how quickly they could both walk six or hike 6 miles. It would also be easy if we both knew how long or how far they went in 2 hours. But that's not the case here. So this is a great example of a problem where unit rate would really help us to get the answer to the problem. Because if we can figure out how many miles they both hike in 1 hour, then we could easily compare and figure out who it is that is hiking faster. And so that's what we're going to do to solve this problem. So again, we have a table here to help us, although you maybe are starting to see that you don't have to have a table to solve these problems, and we'll keep working with that as we keep practicing. So with this, again, I'm going to right click, save to keep, click on it, open a new tab. Click on it again till I get the pen. And then we'll go ahead and write on it. So first one it has us do is Julio speed. Go ahead, change my color a little here. Okay, Julio speed. So if I go back to the problem, Julio is the one on the phone here. It says he hikes the first half mile of the trail in a quarter hour. So he can do a half mile in a quarter hour. Okay, so we know to unit rate, we have to get to the number 1. And so in order to do that, if you kind of remember from yesterday, you should already maybe have an idea what we're going to have to do with the 1/4 to get to 1. But if you're not sure, we'll do some trying here. So I know 1/4 is a proper fraction, and so that means it's smaller than 1. So to get it to 1, I'm going to have to end up multiplying to get there. So I could try times 2, and 1/4 times 2 is 2/4, which is 1/2. Again, use your calculator. 1 ABC4 times 2. Put it in. You can do it. It will help you. You have this tool. 1/2 times 2 gives me 2/2, which is 1. So now I know it takes half an hour for Julio to hike 1 mile. But we want to keep comparing how many miles, so kind of the other unit rate, how many miles he can hike in 1 hour. So I'll keep trying here. I could do times 3 and times 3. So 1/2 times 3 would be 3/2, which is 1.5. And 1/4 times 3 would be 3/4. So again, not up to 1 yet. Continuing it on, I could then try times 4. Now, hopefully, as you were watching this, you thought, Mrs. Graves, why didn't you just start with times 4? Because it was 1/4 hour. That's ultimately where you're going to want to be. So kind of being able to do some of that thinking there to see how to get to 1. So 1/4 times 4, I can press 1, ABC 4 times 4. I get 4/4, which is 1. And 1/2 times 4 gives me 4/2, which is 2. So that means that in 1 hour, Julio can go 2 miles. The question then is, how does that compare to Kyle? So if I go back to Kyle's information, it said that he could hike the first 6 miles in 2 hours. So he can do 6 miles in 2 hours. Now, this one doesn't have any fractions in it. We know we want to get to our number one. So that's where it needs to be 1 hour, just like we had Julio's 1 hour. So from 2 to get to 1 is divide by 2. And again, I'm dividing because 2 to get to 1 is getting smaller. So up here, I'm going to divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 would be 3. So now I can compare the two easily. I know that Julio does 2 miles in 1 hour, and I know that Kyle does 3 miles in 1 hour. So the question here, if I go back, was who hikes more quickly? So if I look at that here, I want to think about which one ends up more faster. So, or more quickly, going faster. So if I think about that, am I going faster if I can do more miles in an hour or less miles in an hour? Well, if I can get more miles in an hour, I must be going quicker because I'm using the same amount of time, but I'm covering more distance. So in that Kyle can do 3 miles in 1 hour, he is the faster one than the 2 miles in 1 hour. Okay? So we'll go ahead, go back in our notebook. Make it a little bigger so you have your information there. So basic idea, you still want to get to your number one. Then when you get there, you want to be able to compare the two of them. So go ahead, try the questions, see what you got.